Let's bring in Nick Eatman, DallasCowboys.com, brought to you by the WinStar World Casino and Resort, proud to be the official casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Nick, is Daron Bland returning for Sunday against Detroit?
It does seem that way, guys. It seems like he's going to be able to get out there for a little bit. Maybe not, as a full-time starter, but they're definitely expecting him to play some snaps, and certainly a good thing for this team, considering what a playmaker he's been the last 2 years.
How much do you think the Cowboys secondary has suffered or fared without him?
It's actually they seem like they've kind of held up okay. I really like Oruwariye. I think he's done a nice job. He shows that he's been here before. He's played before. And I'm sure he would love to play against the Lions. I think he spent a few years there in Detroit. Had a good year, 1 year, 6 interceptions. So he's done a nice job. Been better than Booth, obviously was. But Carson, I thought that they just held up okay. The Saints game was a little rough for everybody on defense. But other than that, I think it's been pretty good. But still, I think what Bland gives you is a playmaker that can actually get the ball in his hands as well.
We're not going to hold you to this. We're just asking you for your projection. Give me the Cowboys starting offensive and defensive line Sunday.
Offensive line? I still think it's going to be Guyton. I think it'll be across the board, Guyton and then Tyler Smith, and B.B. Martin and Terrence Steele. And then on defensive line, oh, man. Osa, can I go there? Osa, let's see.
Yeah.
Lawson, Chauncey Golson's going to fit in there somewhere, and then Osa and Lawson, and then on the other defensive end, I'm kind of blanking, but I would imagine it's probably going to be Golson and Lawson with Osa in the middle with Linval, Joseph, and Mozzie. Mozzie probably over Linval. I don't know. Am I missing somebody there?
So, philosophically, moving, maybe Tyler Smith to tackle, right? Taking a strength, removing a strength to help a weakness. Is that a non-starter for you?
Say that again. Is that a non-starter?
Is that something you would even, really kind of entertain?
Is it fantasy football nonsense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I personally, I'm all about having the five best linemen, and I think with Bass at guard and Tyler Smith at left tackle, I think you had a better lineup. I think we all saw that they functioned better. The problem is the politics that goes involved there with your first round pick and a guy that needs to play to get better. The only way he's going to get better is if he plays, and so I just don't think they're going to do that right now at this point in the season. They're going to try to get him to be better. So I think he'll play at left tackle, Tyler Guyton, and Tyler Smith goes back to guard. I think they know now what they can do. I think what it says is T.J. Bass is a much better guard than Austin Richards is as a tackle. That's what their next five when an injury goes down. But I just don't see them benching Tyler Guyton at this point. They knew there was going to be some struggles, and there has been, but he's going to have to work his way out of it.
Nick, when you look at, obviously some of this has been based on injury, but when you look at the defense and Jordan Lewis playing really well and them figuring out, okay, Oruwariye over Booth and Overshown getting those reps now that in base were originally going to Damone Clark, do you think that what we're seeing here and part of the defense playing so well recently has been Zimmer has figured out, all right, who can meet the demands, the football IQ demands of what I ask of a defense?
Yeah. I think he's definitely figured out what who can do what and where they can line up and maybe simplified some things a little bit. And he's dialed up the pressure at the right times. I thought there was going to be a lot more blitzing, but there really hasn't been. There's been some. I think there's been a good, healthy mix of that. At times, he's brought more. I think that these defensive ends, I think it was just solid across the board. It wasn't really spectacular, but they were all solid. And I give him credit. I mean, Tyrus Wheat, I wasn't expecting a lot out of that group of Golston and Wheat and of course and Carl Lawson. But Lawson's done a nice job. I think they're going to put him on the roster if they haven't done that already. He's out of elevation, so they've got to do something with him. I just think it's been a really good job by Zimmer and this defense and the players and the schemes to kind of play within themselves, not overextend, but also it's been good enough right now.
Nick Eatman on the D&M Leasing Hotline from DallasCowboys.com with the Lions coming into town Sunday. How angry and vengeful do you expect them to be after what happened last year?
As angry as Dan Campbell will be, that's what they will be. And they do take on, the attitude of him. And he's still, I think I saw a quote where he says it's still there. The fury inside of that game is still there. And he said, it's going to be meaningful. There's no doubt about it. And they're going to be, coming off a bye week, so they're going to be ready. I think they're going to be trying to win this one even more than in any other game, because I do think, that what happened there kind of stings. And if we think there's not going to be a pass to a lineman, I think we're foolish. Okay. Like they're going to throw the ball to the lineman, and they're going to report eligible and all this kind of crap. They're going to do it. But yeah, I think they've had 2 weeks to practice stuff like that and practice reporting the right person and quit trying to be cute about it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they're gonna try to bring it. And I think this is a really bad matchup for the Cowboys based off of just what they bring. I was gonna say this in my last answer about the defense. Yes, the defense has done a better job, but I think they've beaten Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones, and then and of course last week against Fields. I mean, these aren't your top quarterbacks in the league, and wherever you put Goff in there, I think he deserves to be up in that top, maybe top 10 level, probably for sure. They're going to start facing some of those guys here, so I think that's when we'll find out what this defense looks like.
Nick Eatman from DallasCowboys.com joining us here on 105 through the Fan. Nick, it looked like the offense the downfield passing game, even against Pittsburgh, was starting to click into place a little bit more. The running game got going. It was around 5 weeks into the season last year when the offense started to fall into place. It felt like, why is it, like, if we are seeing the offense kind of coming into form now, why is it these last 2 years that it's taken a month plus for the offense to find its footing?
I don't have an answer for why, but I do think they use analytics to help them. They use analytics to show kind of what teams are doing to them and how they can, how they can be just better playmakers. It took a little bit to get Cooks going. Man, Cooks, I don't think they were using him in the best way, and maybe the same for Tolbert and Turpin. I mean, they have some speed. They can get down the field, and I think that they just had to do it. I mean, they just have to exploit that a little bit, and kind of, I think the analytics showed them that they were throwing the ball short of the sticks a lot. Teams were sitting on that, and it was at some point you're going to have to throw the ball down the field. I do think the evolution of Jake Ferguson's game is also kind of helping with that, because he was banged up early in the season. Now he's kind of coming back to form, and it took him a little bit last year as well to kind of get it rolling. But once we could see that hey, he's a legitimate playmaker, we see it across the league. If you've got a stud tight end, that changes everything on what teams can do. And I think the Cowboys have opened things up more because of Ferguson. So last year, it took him a little bit of time. This year, he was injured, and now he's kind of back into form as well.
Has Jalen Tolbert finally come into form as the guy they thought he could be, or do you think, hey, still a little too early to say that may have just been a defense trying to take CD away?
Yeah, I think we're still going to need to see him do it more and more, and I don't know what they thought he could be. I mean, he was a third-round pick, and I always kind of thought he was the next Gallup, and Gallup was the number 2 for a little bit, and then but always really better as a 3. So I kind of wonder where they see Tolbert there. You would love for him to be a 2 and maybe even better than that at times. But and he was the one at the end of the game the other day. But I think that they want him to just be a steady playmaker and get down the field.